Put yourself in this situation when the whole world seems to have failed you and the only place you seek solace is your phone. Enjoying some amazing screen time, you awaken a gruesome monster from within your phone, stalking you and anxiously trying to make you his friend. Just imagine. The movie starts by finding a young boy woken by his smartphone, walking through his house, smashing a weird jelly hand substance into the wall. He opens the door to his mom's room, seeing his mom sleeping, and he looks beside her and finds out that his dad is not sleeping by her side. He walks downstairs and finds his dad sleeping on the couch. And he gets back to his room and he finds his phone displaying an image that contains misunderstood monster. I just wonder how a monster can be misunderstood. A monster is always a monster. He tries pressing it away, but he doesn't seem to be able to do so, which is definitely unusual. And suddenly all the light source in his room starts shutting down, and he rushes to block the door so that if the monster comes in, it will trip and fall. Then hurriedly he jumps on his bed, covers his entire body with a bedsheet, breathing heavily, expecting to be adopted or something. The door of his room suddenly opens and he hurriedly covers himself, and suddenly the bedsheet is pulled up and it reveals his mom, calming him down, revealing that he was having a nightmare. Then the mom hands him his phone for him to explain what is going on. He's somewhat autistic. Then later that morning, the mother tries explaining to the father what is going on with her son. He urges him to spend few hours with him, and the father shrugged it off, saying that he's a little boy and he has just a few nightmares. This ensues into an argument between the mom and dad. The scene moves to his class, where he's seated with somewhat of a babysitter seated beside him. Then his classmate, Ebron, inquires why nobody is allowed to use a smartphone in the class apart from Oliver. And so after class, another friend asks him to join them and hang out, which he happily agrees. Coming out to hang out with him, he finds out that it's an ambush and they make fun of him, attempting to bully him, in the process frightening him, and it is seen that there's something inside his phone, making some shrewd noises undetected by the kids. The chief bully that takes the phone out of Oliver's hand and throws it away, then pushing Oliver to the ground as they all run away, leaving Oliver lying on the ground. Oliver gets up and frantically looks for his smartphone, which causes the mother to be very worried. Then this movie takes us to the father as he works a night shift, seeming to have problem with his chair. He checks it out, attempting to fix it. He opens the box and finds a tablet down on power, a need for charging, and a commotion happens. It seems that the monster Larry is actually causing it. He arrives back to his house, giving Oliver the tablet he found. Oliver is happy to get the tablet. He rushes to his room upstairs on the filter and tries videoing himself until he finds out that the filter picks another image as if something is hiding in the wardrobe. Then he rushes to close his wardrobe in an attempt to quench his fear, and make sure not he jumps out of the wardrobe. The next day, as he plays with his new tablet, the tablet said hello to him, which makes him frantically drops it on the table. Then the tablet starts twitching and announcing that it is Larry, and the image changes to the image I saw earlier in his missing smartphone. The tablet desperately says he just wants to be Oliver's friend. This scared him so much that he frantically runs and pick it up from the table, ducking it under the staircase and running back to his room. And as the night breaks, Oliver's mom brings a couple of friends to have a sleepover in his house, and the friends that she brought were the kids that bullied Oliver earlier. The bullies who threw his phone away. Boy, she assured the parents of the kid that they are in good hands. And during that night, one of the friends goes under the staircase and finds the tablet. Finding the tablet, they bring it out and play with it, to the disapproval of Oliver, and they bully him and make fun of him some more. They also make the dumb idea of reading the tale of Larry. As it starts, the light starts switching in the room. The story mentions that Larry comes from another world and it watches our world through windows, which connect his realm to our world. And the last part of the story mentions how you must know Larry's whole story to turn these windows into doors for Larry to come in. What happens next is all the lights in the room start breaking, turning that place into total darkness. Oliver now picks the tablet and turns the main camera on, pointing at the kitchen, where the kids see a terrifying image, and one of his bully friends, Brian, drags the phone off of Oliver's hand, wondering what kind of app that he's using. He promptly tried to read the rest of Larry's story, and to the approval of the rest of the kids, they asked him not to read the rest of the story. He stubbornly proceeded to reading the rest of the story about Larry. In the story, he inquires that he wants to be friends to the kids. Then Brian assured his friends that there's nothing in the corner of the kitchen. Then he goes to prove to them, and suddenly the table slides over him, trapping him, making him scream. The rest of the kids screams as well. The mother rushes in and hurriedly saves him, unaware of what just happened. Then next we notice that the kids' parents have been called to take them back to their parents' house. Rapidly ending the sleepover in the house that night. The mother inquires from Oliver what actually happened, and Oliver denied ever causing any harm to the rest of his friends. The mother doesn't believe him, and so the next day it's found that Bron, one of the kids that the monster attacked the night before, didn't come to school that day. Then back at the house, the mother attempts to replace all the light bulbs that blew up a night before. The whole light starts twitching, making her a little bit afraid. She begins to experience what the kids experienced last night. She hears the same sounds from this tablet, and she rushes to the kitchen to pick up a knife, having a feeling that somebody apart from her is in the house. She realizes there is actually nobody but the tablet calling out to her saying hello. She cautiously walks towards the tablet, picking it up, and picks up some masking tape to cover both the front and the back cameras. Assuming that somebody has hacked the system, she screams, "Stay away from my son." The tablet assures her that he doesn't want to hurt the kid, but to take him and make him its friend. Suddenly, the whole light in the house starts twitching. Then she finally storms out from the house and frantically drives to Oliver's school to abruptly pick up Oliver, telling the teachers and the rest of the kids that it's actually a family emergency and she needs to take him out of school. As they are leaving the school, she stops and explains to Oliver that somebody is actually watching them. Then she gets a call from the mother of the kid that was attacked the night before. Then she rushes over to the kid's house and they find the traumatized boy who stopped speaking ever since the night of the attack. The kid eventually opens up and tells the full story of what happened that night, and that he lied about Oliver causing the entire thing that happened that night. He states to the adults that the entity Larry wrapped its hand around his neck, trying to strangle him and kill him.
He tried to kill me.
Oliver and the mother then rushes back to the house, attempting to pack all their belongings and rush out of the house. Oliver is agitated and the mother then tries to calm him down. The man then leaves Oliver to go and pack the rest of her things, while Oliver wanders off into the darkness of the house. Then he wanders off to his room, sees his tablet, picks it up, on the camera, and was able to see Larry walking through the camera of his tablet. Things start moving on his own in his room, in his bedroom, and he looks at his bed through his tablet, seeing that it's Larry that is moving those things, attempting to call him to its side to where this entity is staying in the room. Scares him off and they pack their things to the father's place. At the father's place, Oliver attempts to describe what is happening by drawing an image of what is supposedly to be Larry, the monster. She tries her best to tell him about the strange happening by flickering the light in his room, which sounded funny to Oliver's dad. Then discussion about their safety shifts into an argument. Then the father then suggests that he brings Oliver to his workplace to spend some time with him and urges the mother to rest, saying that rest is important for her body. We cut through the parking lot where we can see Oliver staying with his dad as he works his night shift. He then pulls out the tablet, completely ignoring his son's concerns and the mom's worries from before. He tells Oliver not to worry, reading the entire story, promising to protect Oliver. Suddenly, as he finishes the story, the light in the parking garage starts flickering. He thinks the electricity is faulty, so he goes to his vehicle and pulls out his toolbox to fix the problem. As he attempts to fix the problem, Oliver finds a laser measurement device in his tool bag, picks it up, and walks out of the enclosement, playing with the device into the dark parking lot, completely ignoring the fact that he's been haunted by a gruesome monster. Then the distance of the laser measuring device starts shortening, indicating that something is coming closer and closer to him as he hears footsteps walking directly to him. The footsteps increase frantically, like something is running towards him, and eventually stopped right in front of him. The father comes and grabs him and takes him in. He urges Oliver to be more careful, that what if he gets run through by a car driving in. The father then checks the empty parking garage through the camera of the smart tablet, not realizing that the son is being lifted up and strangled right behind him. Then he suddenly sees a reflection of Larry the monster. He hurriedly turns back, grabbing Oliver and running outside, and takes Oliver back to his apartment, where he now concurs with the mother that there's something wrong somewhere. They start discussing what Larry is and how they can beat Larry. Oliver then makes a sketch which makes the family aware of what Larry is capable of doing. This scares the parents so much, which makes them to logically conclude that the threat to their lives is coming from the smart tablet that the father brought to the house, and makes them to smash it with a hammer. The next day, Oliver's mother confronts the therapist with the story of Larry, which makes the therapist think that the mother is crazy or something. The mother assures the therapist that she's hoping that it is over since they've destroyed the tablet. Then his friend Brian eventually comes to school and has a connection with Oliver, becoming friends. The other of Brian's friends calls him to come and join them at the table, which he refuses and prefers to spend time with Oliver instead. As Oliver's father becomes to experience some haunting from Larry by that same image appearing on his phone, irrespective of the fact that he has destroyed the tablet. The entire light in the parking garage starts flickering. It scares him so much that he has to duck at the corner, hearing footsteps looking around everywhere. So he runs out of the enclosure using his phone as a looking device to detect where Larry is actually coming from. He enters his pickup truck and frantically drives away, heading home. Something or someone is approaching him rapidly. This is his phone's camera to try to see whether he could find out where Larry is actually staying. He turns the camera to the passenger seat and finds the monster looking at him. Next day, Oliver's mom received a call that her husband has been involved in a tragic motor accident and remains in critical condition at the hospital. She inevitably understands that Larry is not just bound to that single tablet, but by all the devices in the house. As they start flickering and twitching, Larry then attempts to talk to her and Oliver through the TV in the house, saying that Larry can never let go. It won't stop until they finish reading his story and drags Oliver to his realm as a friend. He then goes on how the world only looks at their screen and not each other into him. Then she inquires,
I would feel if Larry took Oliver.
She then took out the TV and other electronic devices, throwing them onto the streets, smashing them. She also goes to screw out all the light bulbs to discard them while they were flickering. This agitates Oliver, makes him rotate in horror. The mother, frustrated, screams at Oliver to
Just be normal for 1 second.
indicating that Oliver is slowly losing his mind. Noticing that the whole neighborhood have just suffered a complete power outage. Despite the fact that the devices are not connected, Larry seems to make his presence and gradually comes out from all the screen and simultaneously pairing itself together, scaring Oliver and his mom. This scares them to run back into the house and flee away from the monster. Then they hide under the bed, which was a bad idea because Larry eventually finds them out. They now storm out of the house into the bushes. Eventually, they got separated and Larry drags Oliver by the leg across the bushes. Larry is seen stretching his hand, trying to make Oliver, shakes him and drags Oliver into his realm. The mother now hurriedly replaces her hands with Oliver's hands, shaking him and soliciting to be Larry's friend instead. The next day, the father is woken up from the hospital. That night, he finds Oliver playing and suddenly Oliver is levitating on the air. He hurriedly brings out his phone and dropping his walking stick in the process. On his camera and view that Oliver is actually playing with the ghost of his mom with so much joy and excitement in Oliver's eye. The mother whispers,
I'll protect you.
I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any suggestions on movies, series or TV shows that you'd like us to review or explain, please let us know at the comment section below. Thank you for watching. Please leave us a like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell and check out our numerous playlists for more videos like this. And you're watching Cloud Fusion.